Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. This is Dan Cook with Nadex. We're going to get started here in just a second. Before we begin, if you could just type in the question box if you're seeing my screen and hearing me all right. And if I don't get any responses, I'll assume that's a no. Awesome. We will get rolling then. Happy holidays, everyone. This is the Nadex Town Hall in December of 2019. Hard to believe we're already into December. It seems like the years just keep flying by. But very glad you could join us today. Do want to let everybody know this is being recorded. So if you'd like to watch it later, if there was something you missed, maybe you just like my voice, that's highly doubtful. But it will be recorded and we'll have a link available later today. So what we're going to be doing today, and many of you have been on these before, I recognize a lot of the names. We're going to be talking first about trading thoughts. You know, we're here to trade. We want to pass along that knowledge. I have a pretty extensive background in trading, and there's a lot of key things and just things to think about as you're trading. So we're going to take a look at one of the trading thoughts today. A quick update about what we've been working on here at Nadex, some pretty exciting stuff we've got for you. And then the most important part, at least in my opinion, the most important part, taking your questions, your comments, your feedback. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit, but that's our agenda for today. We're scheduled for about an hour. You know what? If we have a lot of questions, fantastic. I'll stick around as long as you need me. That's why I'm here. So before we get going, though, quick risk disclosure. Trading on Nadex does involve financial risk, right? You put real money into a market, that money is at risk. You need to make sure it's not grocery money, right? It's not something that's reserved for mortgage. That's the surest way to fail, right? So it's not appropriate for all investors. Make sure that what you have is actually expendable money, right? It's not allocated for something else that's a necessity. If you need to wait a while, save up, do that, right? Only trade risk capital, very important. This is for educational purposes only. It's not an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any financial instrument. I am going to be placing a couple of trades in the demo environment. Please don't follow along with those. I'm not doing any analysis. I just want to show you a little bit of the functionality and how it relates to our trading thoughts. So with that, let's get going. Oh, by the way, if you do have questions along the way, we get a lot of people on these webinars, which is a fantastic thing. I'm going to really be taking a lot of questions at the end. I'll try to address everything as we go through, but just want to let you know I will get to your questions even if it takes me a little bit. So trading thoughts. One of my favorite quotes from a movie, I never walk into a place I don't know how to walk out of, and that was Robert De Niro in Ronin. In case you haven't seen the movie, I'll set the stage. Basically, it's the opening scene, and there's a group of people that are strangers that have never met. They're meeting for a job that they don't really know what it is, right? And so there's a couple people in the restaurant, and Robert De Niro walks in the front door, meets the people. They're talking a bit. A few minutes later, somebody comes in the back door, says, "Come on, let's go." They go out to the alley. They're about to get in a van, and Robert De Niro reaches behind a box and pulls out a handgun. The other guy looks at him kind of like, well, where did that come from? And his quote was, "I never walk into a place I don't know how to walk out of." You might be saying, that's great, but what does this have to do with trading? We need to think about this in terms of a trade as well, right? And that's what we're going to take a look at. When you get into a trade, you have to have an exit strategy, right? One, you should know how you're getting into the trade and why you're getting into it, but then how do you get out? So let's hop real quick into the demo platform. And I just want to illustrate some of the things because particularly with binary options, they have different time frames, right? 5 minutes all the way up to weekly. So they're bound by an expiration time. And they're known as all or nothing contracts. But we don't have to wait for that all or nothing outcome. And I want to show a couple of examples because it's very important to understand this concept. Over the years, we've just seen way too many people take unnecessary risk. So let's just walk through a trade and how this concept really applies because it's extremely important that you understand that. One of the reasons also I bring this up is one of my mentors, actually, he'd been trading about 30 years when I started working with him. And he was animate that the only difference in profitability between him and an inexperienced trader was that he got out of his losing trades faster, right? At Nadex, we talk about defined risk, which is great, right? You always know your maximum defined risk. You can never get a margin call. You can never lose more than is in your account, but you can lose money. and you'll illustrate the maximum risk. So I'm just going to buy this contract here at 19, right? We've got 19. I've got 5 contracts on there. I've got a maximum loss of $95, right? I don't have to sit and wait to see if I take my maximum loss. Whatever your strategy, whatever your analysis, if you're buying at 50 and the market drops back to 35, maybe you need to say, hey, I was wrong on this trade. Let me cut some of my losses. On the other side too, maybe you're profitable. If I'm looking at this particular binary option, right, we all know that the price of a binary option is a probability. So if I look at the bid and offer there, and this is again is in demo, so don't follow along. I'm not doing any analysis. This market is basically telling me there's somewhere around a 15% chance that this contract will go to 100, right? Just 15% chance. But if I'm trading, I don't need it to go to 100 to make money, right? Nobody ever went broke by taking profit. So when you're thinking about the probabilities, think about that. And we're going to take a look at a couple of things here. So one, just because you see a bid there and an offer there, doesn't mean you have to take that, right? Maybe you think a fair price for this contract is actually $16. So we're going to do what's called working a limit. So I'm going to put in $16 there into my price and click place order. Right? This may seem a little remedial for some of you, but this is one of the most common things I've seen over the years is that people really just don't understand that they can actually be their own market maker. They don't just have to take what's there. So right now, I have a working order to buy 5 contracts at a price of 16. Now there's no guarantee that I'm going to get filled on this. But if we take a look at this, I'm just going to open up my working order. Do you see my order for 16, right? I'm now doing what's called sitting at the top of the book. I have the best bid out there. Do you see how that tightened up the bid offer spread as well? So now if another member wants to come in and they want to sell this contract, now they can actually sell it at a more attractive price. I'm buying it at a more attractive price, and it's good for everybody. It actually creates additional liquidity on the exchange. And that's just called working an order. So again, no guarantee that I'll get filled on this, but as long as I'm that best bid there, if somebody else wants to trade that contract and they want to sell it, I'm the best bid they have, right? So it's better for everybody. It creates additional liquidity on the exchange. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this because we're going to place a trade. And I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to buy this at this one here. See if I get filled. Okay, so I have an open position. All right, I bought 5 contracts of the US Tech 100. At a price of $32.75 is my average price. Again, fairly low. It's probably a 30% chance, 29% chance the market's telling me that this is going to happen, right? But I don't need it to go to 100 to be profitable, right? So on two sides of the thing, let's say that the market starts moving against me. The current market's at 24.50. Maybe it drops down to 15. My support level didn't hold, whatever the case may be, drops down to 15. I can close that trade out. I don't have to sit there and wait for it to go to 0, right? If I'm wrong, I can get out. I can cut my losses. On the other side, if it starts moving in my favor, I can again work another limit. So for instance, if I'm trading 5 contracts, I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? If the market gets to 55, I want to take 3 contracts off. I want to lock some profit in, right? I'm going to place that order. And now if the market moves in my favor, I'm not waiting for 100. I can take off a partial position there, lock in 3 contracts, right? If the bid price gets to 55, I get executed. I've locked in profit. Now I can let my remaining 2 contracts go. I could take all 5 contracts off. If I wanted to, I could take them off one at a time. Maybe if it hits 45, 55, 65, I take 1, 1, 1. These are trading decisions. What you need to be aware is that you don't have to sit on those. I've seen so many times, one of the most frustrating things, I've seen somebody place a trade like this, where they get in, say it's around where we're at, 32.75, and the market really just climbs in their favor. And all of a sudden, the market's sitting at 96 bid, no offer. It's very deep in the money. So now, let's just say we bought at 30. Now we've got $66 in profit. We're not only going to risk that $66, for another 4, right? If we're waiting till expiration, why not close it off early? Why take all that risk? Because actually it could go to 0. And as anybody that's been around for a while knows, binary options can move very fast, right? So look at the market, decide, would anybody put up $66 to make 4, right? But that's effectively what you're doing. If you're selling and you're sitting down there at like basically a 4, right? Do you want to wait to see if it goes to 0? No. That's kind of trading, and you don't have to hold it till expiration. Very important. It's one of the things that I think when people think all or nothing options, in many cases, and many traders that I've talked to over the years, just don't realize that's a possibility. So again, you can work in order to get in, right? You don't have to take that bid offer, but you can work it for a better price. If you do, you'll go to what's called the top of the book. Doesn't matter if you're buying or selling, right? It'll just depend on which side of the book it ends up on. It's better for you for a better price, better for the members, other members, right? Because they're getting a better price for their side. It's basically a negotiation, right? You're just trying to shake hands and meet somewhere in the middle. Again, no guarantee that you'll get filled, but it is worth that on the entry. And again, you can close out early, whether that be for a loss, right? Don't hesitate to close your losses without taking the maximum loss. Again, you can lock in profits on the way up. So hopefully this has been helpful. I know we've got a few people on here that are relatively new to Nadex and just really want to cover these concepts, right? Because so much about trading and so many losses can be avoided by simple concepts. And so we always like to share these with you, and hopefully it improves your trading experience. So with that, let's get into some of the updates that we've been working on here at Nadex. Has anybody taken a look at the web platform in beta? It was a beta launch in October. It's accessible by anybody, but really why we were doing this, it's a much more responsive platform, a much faster development cycle. We've had a lot of questions on it. We've got so many more features to be added. So I already see the questions coming in. Oh, geez, are you taking away the regular platform that I'm used to? No. It will at some point. It's legacy technology. It can't be supported, but it's not happening anytime soon. So don't worry. We've got a lot of work to do on this, and I'm going to ask actually everybody here to participate with that work, and I'll tell you how in just a minute. Some of the features to be added: new order types. We've had stops requested for a long time. Those are on the order map, or those are on the roadmap. Improved statements. I already see a few comments. Yes, improved statements. Now, none of these things are coming out tomorrow, so we are working on them. Some of them take longer than others. Obviously, some are easier to implement. Dark theme charts is another one. I don't know about anybody else. When I spend a lot of time looking at a screen, I don't really care for the white background on my charts. It's just hard on my eyes. Dark theme charts. Visual ranges for call spreads and touch brackets. One of the most difficult things, and from the feedback we've heard, is that visual ranges for call spreads and touch brackets was just missing, right? It's very tedious if you're looking at where the orders are or what the price levels are, but then you have to go put vertical lines on your screen. That's just not good. So in the new platform, and you can already see them, you have visual ranges for call spreads and touch brackets. Let's see. Oh, we've already got some questions rolling in here. You know what? I'll kind of address these in a group because it looks like quite a bit of the similar ones. So I will answer those. Another one: tear-off tickets. These are something that and actually yep, absolutely. One of the biggest requests we've had. All of these are actually based on your feedback, right? It's very important. So we've got tear-off tickets coming. And what else? Your feedback is needed, right? Our goal is to make the best trading platform we can, not for us, but for you. This is your chance to shape the trading experience and your future trading experience at Nadex. Some things we'd love to do, actually so many things we'd love to do tomorrow, right? But we have to prioritize. You know how something gets prioritized? It gets prioritized when we get your feedback. You know what? And please don't send feedback that just says, well, I just don't like this, right? That doesn't help anybody. If there's something you don't like, let us know. We're pretty flexible here. One of the great things about this new platform is that we can have such a faster development cycle, so many features that we've wanted to add over the years and that you've been requesting over the years. just weren't possible with the legacy technology, right? The platform we just looked at will be up. It'll be up for quite some time. We're not taking it away anytime soon, uh, but we're moving forward. And the feedback we've received and the comments we've received has been overwhelmingly positive. There's been a lot of uptake for the new web platform that's in beta version. Again, if you want to, you can go in and check it out. If you haven't seen it yet, right, this is our login screen. I'm sure all of you are familiar with that. Up at the top, you'll just see in that red box there, there's no red box on our website. Just wanted to highlight it here. It just says join the beta, right? You click on that, it'll take you to a login screen, and then you'll be directed to the new platform. I encourage everybody to check it out. Again, this is your opportunity. We're very excited about it. I'm excited because very similar to when we did our Nadex Go mobile app, everything was based on feedback. Everything that was prioritized. The development cycle was so fast. So many people worked with us on it, and it really became a community project. It's not just a Nadex project. We're really big on community here, right? That's what we are, and this is your opportunity to really shape that experience for the entire community. All right, I'm going to take a look at a couple of quick questions here. You know what? I will hop back, Tom, at the end of the presentation, and we'll take a look at the platform. I've got a couple questions on taking profit and stuff. So at the end of the presentation, I'll be happy to go back in there and take a look at that. And yeah, I'm very excited about the brackets being visually illustrated. We've had the binary options ladder for quite some time. But this was something that was really missing, and it was something that was kind of hard to actually configure without just kind of muddling up the whole screen. I do encourage you to take a look at it, though. You'll see them when you go into either the call spreads or the touch bracket contracts. You'll be able to click on them on the screen. The call spreads look a little bit different than touch brackets. That was actually done on purpose. One, because they're two different contract types, and then also you kind of know where you're at. But both function very well. Again, though, if you have feedback, maybe there's a little bit better way that you've thought of to illustrate it, let us know. Cool. In case you haven't seen this yet, this should excite everybody. Refer a friend. This was launched on December 4th, so 2 short days ago. This is a pretty amazing program, and I think one that everybody will appreciate. If you see up there, this could be the easiest $1,000 you ever make. So what is it? So you should check your email for your unique referral link. This is a link that's dedicated to you, right? In case you didn't receive one, definitely check your spam folders. We don't want you missing out on this. So basically the program, you can receive $200 for every referral up to 5 who funds with at least $500 and places 5 trades. Those are the qualifications, right? So not only do you get the $200, but whoever you referred also receives the $200 once the criteria is met of the $500 and 5 trades, right? So you can refer up to 5 people for those $200 for every referral who meets those minimum requirements, which are definitely not onerous by any means, right? $200 for every referral up to 5, at least $500, places 5 trades. You get 200, they get 200. Pretty happy holidays, I think, for everybody. So there's full details in the notices section at nadex.com, right? If you go to the bottom of the screen, it says notices, click on there. You'll see it right towards the top. Didn't receive a referral link, so what do? I actually saw those questions popping up as well. If you didn't receive your referral link, one, you need to be a member of Nadex, should qualify that. You do need to be a member of Nadex. So if you just have a demo account, that doesn't count. Only members can participate in that. Great question. But if you're a member, right, you have a funded account, refer a friend at nadex.com. Shoot an email, we'll get out your unique tracking link. You just share that link. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a coworker, whomever. Share that unique link. They click on it. It'll be tracked through our system. When the criteria is met, and then, by the way, it's not an instant. This is a bit of a manual process, but yes, so I see those questions. It doesn't just automatically appear in your thing, but once those criteria are met, we're going to be monitoring on this on a weekly basis. So we will get those out to you. Make sure that they use that link, though, right? So if you're talking to them, don't just have them go to nadex.com, right? Take your link, shoot them an email, shoot it in a text. They can click on it from the text and go to our website on the mobile. but make sure you use that link. That's the only way you can get credit for it. So I'm going to reiterate that one more time. Use your unique tracking link. That is unique to you. That's how we're going to track who gets what. If you didn't get it, just email referafriend@nadex.com. All right, a few other things, and then I'm going to start going through some of these questions. So what else are we working on? So a lot, actually. There is a lot at any given time. Pretty soon we're going to be launching an improved payment and withdrawal process, which particularly impacts the debit cards. It's been kind of a tedious process, actually, for all of us, members and staff here alike. So this is going to be much improved. I don't have a specific date where that's going to be, but I think within the next 30, 60 days, we'll see a much improved payment withdrawal process. We're also always looking at new markets, and here's your opportunity to also give us feedback, right? We can't do every market we'd like to. Our goal here is to create the most interesting markets that you want to trade, right? I might think a market's interesting. I might be the only one in the world that thinks it's interesting. Might not be great for everybody. So give us the feedback. Again, this is a community and a consensus. We can't do everything we'd like to, right? There are certain things with regulations. There are certain markets which may not be suitable from an underlying market perspective. For example, if somebody wanted to trade the US dollar Thai baht, probably not one we can offer anytime soon just because there's really very, very low liquidity in that market. But whatever it is, feel free to suggest it. Here's a few that we're looking at. And I really want to illustrate, these are just potential markets. We are in the early phases, but you guys are participating here. We like to give you a first look, right? So economic events. You may have seen these in the demo platform earlier this week if you were in demo. We're looking to launch these in January. Many of you have been around for a while. You probably remember when we had the economic events in the past. Basically what this is, they'll be launched initially on weekly jobless claims and non-farm payroll. So what is non-farm payroll? It's really the biggest report, I would say, or one of the biggest, at least, as a market-moving event, which is basically how is the health of basically the business world in the United States. It's a huge report every month, has very big impact. I really find it interesting on these events. I like to look at the economic numbers. I always have. I was very popular in high school for that specific reason. Being facetious, obviously, I was never popular in high school. But so economic events. So let's say an economist, right, comes out and says, "Hey, I think," or a consensus of economists says, "I think it's going to be 190,000 jobs added this month." I can now take a look at that and go, you know what? I think they're wrong. I can now actually place a trade and say, I think it's going to miss. I can look at the historical data, which, by the way, I did previous to this week, just to find out what the average miss was. Did it miss to the up? If it missed to the up, how much did it miss? If it missed to the downside, how much did it miss there? What's the median? What's the average? A very, very cool contract, and looking forward to getting these launched again. Again, we had some people that definitely loved them. We've got quite a few, actually. And we're really looking forward to getting these launched again, based on feedback from folks like you. All right, Bitcoin, Ether, looking at those again. These are potential markets that we're looking to add. FANG, right? Are you familiar with FANG? See a couple comments coming across. Absolutely, very interesting contract, right? It'd be the FANG futures. And this is something that a lot of people, right? If you wanted to more directly trade, say, an Apple, right? Now, we're not SEC regulated, so we can't do single stocks. However, that has a huge impact on the overall FANG grouping, right? So it's one of the big ones in that particular group of stocks. And so you have a more direct way to trade that, provided we launch it. And why are we doing these? Again, it goes back to we want to keep the markets interesting. We want to do as much as we can to what our community of traders is interested in trading. VIX, another one we get a lot of feedback on. We are looking at the VIX. Again, these are potential markets, no guarantees. There's a lot of work that goes into these. You'd probably be shocked if you knew how many moving parts go into actually listing a new underlying market at the exchange. We do take very seriously, though, and one of the reasons why there's so many moving pieces, we take very seriously the need for the integrity of our markets, right? We need to have market makers who are ready to provide liquidity, right? It's going to be a boring market if you can't place a trade or ever get executed on a trade, right? We need to make sure we have regulatory approval. We need to make sure that the underlying data is suitable for the contract. Why? Because we have an obligation to you to make sure that all of these things and many, many more line up so that we continue to have quality markets with high integrity and tradability. And that's the goal. So these are potentials. If one of them doesn't happen, maybe all of them don't happen. You know what? Shoot me an email. You can complain to me. That's fine. But things we're looking at, right? So what's next? What's next as far as markets? What else are you interested in? I did see one from William. I'll answer it right now. Uh, Political and weather. For weather, I don't see that on our horizon at all. I don't know who would actually necessarily provide good liquidity in that. Although, hey, it's a suggestion, right? On the political front, I do see a few names on here that have been around for a while. We actually in 2012, end of 2011, 2012, did try to list political event contracts. And unfortunately, that was denied. Our request was denied at that time by the CFTC. So that means that there's certainly, well, you're not allowed to do a prediction on war or terrorism events. In addition to that, you're not allowed to apparently make a market on movie box futures, political events, or onions. I won't go into the whole story about onions. You can Google it if you want. It goes back to the 50s. But yes, that is also one that we're not allowed to do. So anybody that was out there that was really wanting to trade onions, hey, it's not my fault. It's just one of the things that one of the oddities of regulation, I guess. Unfortunately, with politicals, I think they'd be very interesting. At one time, these were actually offered in the early 1900s. A little history here. In the early 1900s, binary options, what are effectively binary options, they weren't called binary at the time, were offered on the Curb Exchange in New York. One of the things that they found, and I studied this quite a bit several years ago, obviously when we were looking to launch political contracts, often they would trade more volume in those days on political events, elections, than the total volume of the New York Stock Exchange, right? That was the Curb Exchange in New York, early 1900s. Another thing that they found very interesting in historical research was that it was so much more accurate than a simple poll, right? The reason being, obviously, if people are not just expressing an opinion, but they're putting their money behind their opinion, they're going to be a whole lot more honest, I'm pretty sure. So just a little history lesson there on the politicals, but right now, unfortunately, not able to. Oh yeah, you do remember that, William? Yeah, it's yeah. I thought they would have been really fun. In order to for everybody, we had a lot of interest in those contracts, but unfortunately, just couldn't get it approved. Um, So yeah, let's see. So I've already got a fair amount of questions, and I will hop back into the platform. I haven't forgotten about the request to take a look at those limit orders again. And let's see here. And sorry, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, so I need to magnify my screen here a little bit. Yep, I will go in regard to brackets. Um, yeah, actually, I believe Marius, Aline, I think I pronounced that right, Marius. Um, Yes. So with the touch brackets, we initially launched those on just the four, as you know, on four of the U.S. indices, as well as just four of the currencies. So we would be looking at expanding this. Two requests that we've gotten quite a bit are for gold and oil. Now, with any market we list, as I mentioned too, we have to have market makers who are willing to price those markets. Gold and oil should be a pretty easy one. I don't have a specific time frame, but I have been looking at specifications for those contracts, and I think it's something we'd like to get added. The international indices, I haven't looked, quite frankly, I haven't looked at specking out at this point, but certainly worth taking a look. Definitely gold and crude oil on the touch brackets have been one of the most popular. And I also think, feel free to disagree with me, once we get stops added, particularly for something like a touch bracket, where you may be in a position for a day or two, if the market really moves in your favor, you might want to be able to protect that. If maybe you need to go to sleep, right? Maybe you need to go to lunch, you have an important meeting, whatever the case, to be able to put a stop in there and protect your profit. So I think we're really going to see, particularly the touch brackets, which have done pretty well, um, particularly with the advent of stops and adding some new markets there, maybe some more currency pairs, maybe some of the markets that we just took a look at, Bitcoin perhaps, get a touch bracket on those. Let's see here, trying to go, let's see. As far as the indicative on the ticket, you know what? I will make a note of that, Tyler, and I'll have to see. I'll have to talk to our development. I'm not positive if that's on the roadmap. One thing I did forget to mention that's on the roadmap, which was another highly requested thing, is the balance display, being able to switch it, hide it as to what it's showing. So that is uh, coming along as well, and that was all based on feedback. So I'm going to make a note of this as far as the indicative, and I'll talk to our product manager on that and our platform manager and see if that's on the roadmap. You know what? See, this is why it's very important and why I love doing these things, because I may not know something's missing, right? I've looked at the old platform for ages, right? So I was pretty good with that. With the new platform, there might be things that you're using that we just weren't aware of, or that maybe, hey, I just missed it. So this is why it's so important, right? And by the way, on the platform itself, uh, you'll find a feedback button, right? Send us that. So if you have like feature requests, things that you'd like to be added, maybe there was something that was in the old platform that's just not in the new yet, and maybe it's coming. We can respond to those and let you know, hey, this is on the roadmap. But again, if it's something that, particularly if the feedback's there and requested a lot, we can get it prioritized. So let me take a look at a few more questions here. This is a great and active group. They're actually almost coming into faster than I can keep up with them. Let's see. Yep. Let's see. The indicative. Yep. Just going through and seeing some of these are have come in a few times. No worries, Tyler. I will definitely take that into note as far as the order and what we're doing. Definitely a lot of people have questions. And so one of the things with these, we want to give our group and we want your voices to be heard. This is why we do this. We want you to have direct connection. I don't know of another exchange where you can actually call up or they'll sit down and actually tell you what their roadmap is. So thank you for that feedback. It's very important, and that's why these are so great to do. I love talking to our members. I don't know, does anybody ever feel like trading is a very lonely venture? Right? It used to be. I'm sitting here in Chicago, not too far from the Board of Trade, Merck, SIBO, all the places. It wasn't too long ago that there were thousands and thousands of people, bodies on those floors, chaotic environment, right? It was very much a community. Trading though can be lonely. Now, oftentimes we're just sitting at home by ourselves, looking at our screen, right? Our goal here is to bring back that community, right? It's about traders really helping traders. It's about us sharing the information and actually not just sharing information, but taking your feedback, your comments. That way we can all work together. And again, it becomes a community. It's not an us and you, it's a we, right? And that's so important to us. Yes, so on the event contracts, those will be available. Hopefully, I believe the goal, they were on demo this week. The goal is to get them live in January. So I believe that's still the plan. So non-farm payroll, or the employment report, as many people call it, will be listed once a month. It'll be basically a weekly contract. So we'll probably list Monday morning sometime, and then it's typically the first Friday of every month, depending on how, basically how the month starts. Sometimes it's pushed back a week. And the weekly's jobless claims, again, will be listed on a Monday morning when we have the estimates from the economists. And then that typically, again, depending on holidays and how things fall, will be out on Thursday. So yeah, I think that'll be really fun to take a look at that. No time frame yet on the stops. Did want to make sure though that you knew that they were in there. I would say in the hundreds, if not thousands, of webinars I've done over the years, whether it be Nadex specifically or in conjunction with some other party. Um, Stops have been one of the biggest things requested. Stops and statements. The statement improvements. Very much looking forward to that. You know what? we're working our tails off to get these things out. I'm just what I'm frankly most excited about is that we're really getting it done, and we're getting it done for all of you here on the call, all of our members. So that's really what I'm excited about. And I think I've answered pretty much. I'm going to hop back to the platform as per requested and just walk through how we basically place limit orders again, how we take profit in that spec. So give me 1 second here. All right, should be seeing the platform now. Okay, got a few more questions coming in here as well. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and actually, you know what? I'll walk through this example. So as you can see, I bought this at 32.75, and wasn't I giving an example? What say if that dropped to 15, right? So right now I'm showing, if you can see there on the screen, I'm showing a loss now of $91.25, right? I could stand to lose $32.75 per contract, right? I don't need to do that though. So let's say I just wanted to close this trade for a smaller loss, right? I can cut my losses considerably. Right now the current market's at 13.50. I'm saving 13.50 per contract. All I do is I click on my open position and I click place order, right? Now in a fast market, you may actually want to use, like if you're trading and you're coming up to expiration, the market's really flying around, you might want to use a market order with protection. I have my default set to limit order, so I could illustrate these concepts. But in a fast market, now one thing, can anybody see what mistake I could have possibly made here? Right? If I just kind of turned off my computer and went about my business, my mistake was I still have a working order, right? So it's possible that could get filled. Let's say the market really took off. It's not closing anything out now. This would actually be an order to open, and so let me just go ahead and delete this. Very important, right? You don't want to be sitting out there with open orders. Always check your platform when you're done with your trading session. Make sure that whatever you have there should be there. All right, so let's walk through this again and walk through it. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to buy this one at 22, right? I'm going to buy 5 contracts, but I don't want it at 22. I want it at 18. Again, no guaranteed fills. I'm going to place my order. So now you should see it down there. It's in my working orders window, right? I have my working orders and open positions window. So a couple of things. One, let's just say I thought about it and I was like, no, the fair price is probably closer to 19, right? I can just amend it and click amend order. If I click on this working order, do you see that green price there? That's the 5 lot I just put in, right? That's working. That's at the top of the book. So now if somebody wants to sell that contract, right? Would you rather sell it at 14.75 or at 19? Right? You'd rather sell it at 19. You have a higher potential return on that trade, right? You may say, well, that's just a couple of bucks. I'd rather just get filled. That's a trading decision, right? Each one is unique. But by working this order, I go to the top of the book. So now I'm basically negotiating with any other member out there that wants to trade this contract. I'm giving them a better price than what was there. And in return, they're giving me a better price as well by filling my order. This creates liquidity. Every member on Nadex can effectively make their own market. You don't just have to take what's sitting out there, right? Does that make sense? Cool. All right, I'm going to just delete this one, and then we'll walk through taking profit. So I'm just going to place an order here. Place order. Okay, so now I have an open position here for 5 contracts. Right? So if the market starts moving against me, let's say right now I got in at $50. Maybe I was just wrong, or maybe I got into the wrong side of it. Maybe it's dropped against me. To close out this order, all I need to do, pop on that contract from the open positions window and click place order. Right. Now I'm going to show you one other thing here quick. Let me just go ahead and place an order here. If it is a really fast moving market, right? It is zipping around. You can either have your default set to limit order or market order, right? So if you're trading something very short term, maybe anything that's just even close to expiration can be very volatile. I mean, they can be volatile at any time, but particularly with binary options close to expiration. So I can click market order. And then I have a market order with protection. So I'm just going to go back in, walk through this one more time. So I bought this at 52.50, right? It's basically saying there's a 50-50 chance kind of that this event could happen. Let's say though that if it goes to 80, and again, depends on your price level. I don't want to put a size of 80. Very important. Did anybody see the huge mistake I could have made there? I was going to put in a size of 80 when I only have 5 contracts. I'm just going to say a price of 80. It's good then when my own goof ups actually help illustrate mistakes that people can make. So I'm going to put those 5 contracts at 80. So now if the market moves up, I'm basically going to make 30, roughly say $30 per contract, not inclusive of exchange fees, or about roughly almost a 60% return, right? I don't have to wait to try to get that 100% return, right? Maybe that 60% is what I'm good. This is particularly, useful if you're buying those, if you're looking for volatility, say, and you're buying at something like a 30 or a 25 or 35, you can set different take profit levels, right? And if it's going against you, right, even if you bought it at 25 and you're saying, well, it's only $25 risk, well, that's fine, but it's still 25 bucks. Trading is a journey of a lifetime, and it's not about one trade. It's about thousands of trades, right? I don't think anybody's here and they're not listening to my monotone voice without some type of interest in trading. If you are, you're kind of weird, but hey, that's just me, right? It's about this journey of lifetime. And if you think about over the course of a lifetime, if you save 10 bucks on average by getting out of losses earlier, how much does that add up to over time? Right? It's a lot. It's real dollars that we need to consider in these cases. And so that's why I really want to stress this. And so that was kind of just walking through. Again, you can take profit. By the way, I don't have to take them all off either. I see a lot of people that will put a size, say, of 3, right? Because if it gets up to 80, they want to take 3 off. They've locked in a little bit of profit, but then they'll see if the other 2 go to 100, right, for their maximum return on that potential trade. If it's going off against you, though, it's going against you. Don't be afraid. It's not about being right, right? There's no, oh, you're bad because you're wrong. You got that trade. No, it's about being profitable. And there's a famous old saying from Amos Hofstadter, take care of your losses and the profits take care of themselves, right? So important, right? It's about being profitable. Nobody's going to taunt you if you're wrong. Well, I mean, my friends probably would. Excuse me, hit the wrong button there. So let me hop back here and get to some other questions here. All right, so give me a second. Let's see, this is kind of a long question here, so let me just make sure I fully understand and give the right answer. That's what I try to do anyway. Oh, so the question is actually, okay, so yeah, I've got this one. So you may notice on the market order with protection, it is a fill or kill type order, right? So if there's not liquidity to get there, right, to fill, it actually gets killed. You don't have a market order then that turns into a limit, right? Because of the way it's really a structural thing, right? And I won't go into all the nitty gritty on the back end, but yes, the reason for that is you actually have a protective range in that market order with protection, right? If there's no other side to that trade, right, you could work a limit, but from a technology perspective, it was really basically what it is, a fill or kill. Now, if you look at a market order, because market orders were actually kind of rare, the reason they're structured the way they are is really, and why stops, quite frankly, have proven to be a very difficult thing to truly spec out so that they work well. The way it's structured, because of the speed of the binary option, right? Any options traders on here, I see a few familiar names, right? Knows the term gamma, right? The price of a binary option is basically the delta, right? The probability. If you don't know these terms, don't worry about it. But basically, the rate the market can change. So when you get close to expiration, right, a binary option has to settle at either 0 or 100, nothing in between. So if you're very close to expiration, right, it's just about to expire and it's sitting right on that strike level. It's got to go to 0 or 100, and so you can literally see an impact where it's like goes from 80 to 20 to 30 to 90 to 5, and is just popping back and forth. And so that's kind of why the market orders are structured the way they are. Um, Currently, there's not a chat line for traders. We have looked from a customer service standpoint. One thing we'd like to implement is actually a live chat, but um, we don't currently have like a chat room for traders. Now, there are plenty of them out there that do. From an exchange perspective, though, I'd actually have to look into that, right? Because we have a lot of obligations as far as what we do from a regulatory perspective, and so some of these things um, kind of become very difficult to implement. But yeah, I think creating a community, being an exchange and being regulated as an exchange does have some of its, I guess, kind of things that we'd love to do, but can't quite do at least easily. But definitely something we can consider. All right, I think. Let's see. I got a question about alerts. Now, one of the things also that I don't think it's fully on the roadmap, at least as a priority yet, but is alerts. So you can set various alert levels. That's ideally what we'd have. That's still a ways out. We've got so many other things that have really been requested ahead of that, but something we'd certainly love to have. As far as a text alert or even an audible alert would be very helpful. You know what? And that's something, Joe, I'd have to look in. This is a great suggestion. As far as, if you had a working order that there was nothing there. Now, the difficult part with doing an alert on that, I'd have to give it more thought. This is just off the cuff here, is that a lot of people will use, say, orders to open. Meaning, so like for instance, when I was working that order and it went to the top of the book, that would actually be a naked order. And I wouldn't necessarily want an alert on that. So I'd have to actually give that some thought. I do think that's something that would be kind of cool if you just kind of have positions left out there. Or maybe even if it's not an alert, maybe if somebody logs off, it says, hey, wait a minute, are you aware that you have these? Something I'd have to think about on that, but I'm taking a note of that right now. All right, let's see what else we have here. Oh, that's awesome. I'm just going to share this comment. We love Nadex. Keep it going. You're all awesome. I love to hear this. You know what? I don't. I think we always try to do our best. I think that's one of the things that I'm most proud of with this entire group. It is, and I say this with all sincerity. It is a group like none I've ever worked with. Everybody is heading in the same direction, and it's not just Nadex heading in a direction. It's our members helping us steer whatever direction we're going. Are we perfect? Absolutely not, right? I often say we can be happy. We can never be satisfied. We have a lifetime of work ahead. You know what? Long after I'm, long dead, I still expect Nadex to be rocking and rolling. I think there's going to be an awesome legacy here, but it's not us. It's the entire community that does this. And that's why it's so important for your feedback, right? Just on this webinar here, I've already received a couple of great thoughts on things that we could add or ways to think about things. So this is fun. This is an awesome group. Let me just check. Kind of got the queue here. Going to go through and get rid of. Oh, another one. As far as Nadex Mobile, the ability to refresh the chart. You know what? I'll follow up on that one as well. Refresh chart. And by the way, with some of these, I may have to reach back out to you after the webinar or have one of our the product development people reach out just to make sure that we clarify on what you're talking about. A lot of things can be done. So while I can't maybe give an answer perfectly here, keep them coming. They're probably listening to this webinar, as well, and they're probably bored of my voice also. So these are the things that we continue to work on, but we may need to reach out to you after the fact. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tyler. That's very much appreciated. And Joe, awesome. Let's see. I think we've got these. This is a great group. This makes my Friday really fun. Eh, right now, receiving a lot of comments. This is fantastic. Oh, also thank you, William. I think I have hit all of the questions. If for some reason I've missed any, I go back. I get one of the great things about this webinar platform. I actually get a list of all the questions that are asked, and it tells me whether I answered them or not because I put a tick box. I think I've hit them all. We'll hang out here for a couple more minutes and another minute or so. So if you do have a question, go ahead and type it in. Uh, oh yeah, thank you. Huh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Here's here's a question I was not expecting. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. Are you going to the Ace Frehley concert Friday the 13th? Yes, I intend to. I have a few friends. For those of you that may or may not growing up, I was a very big fan of the band Kiss. I think I went for them as them for Halloween every year. Obviously, an individual character, not all four at the same time. But yes, that is. I was literally planning that last weekend with some friends. Are you going to be there? That's a funny question. And this is one of the things that I love. So many names on that are attending today. There's a lot of new faces, which is great. But there are a lot of people here who have known me for years, and know me pretty personally, which is great, right? No matter what we do for a living, it's awesome when we get those personal connections. So let's see. Looks like let's see. Yes, Harry, this has been recorded, which will be nice because if at any part you get bored and you want to rewatch it, you can fast forward, you can rewind. This will be recorded. Should have a link out to everybody this hopefully later today. It takes a little while to render. I won't get into all the technicals there, but this has been a great group. Very glad everybody could join. You know what? It really sincerely makes my day, really month, year, life, when we have such an awesome, strong community at all levels of traders. That's what's fantastic. And I'll often say this: never be afraid to pose an idea, right? To make a suggestion. Never be afraid. I will say I was lucky enough to spend quite a few years as a trading coach, working with individuals. And I'll tell you, I've probably learned just about as much from questions from new traders that things that I hadn't thought about or just looked at differently, right? So no, never be afraid. It's about all experience levels. I was very lucky to have a lot of friends that were professional traders and really helped me out. All experience levels, and that's coming together. It's something I really love. All righty, looks like I've got all the questions answered. Um, Again, hold on, let me flip back here one screen. Um, oh, by the way, if you have feedback for these webinars, not just this one, not just the town hall, but if there's different types of education you're interested in, um, I'll put this in the chat box as well to send it out to everybody. But here's an email address for you, which I didn't have on the screen, right? So if you're looking, and sorry, I can't talk and type at the same time. So all entire audience, okay, this is townhall@nadex.com. When you have suggestions, right? Maybe it's very basic webinars. Maybe you want more platform tutorials. Maybe you want subjects like we talked about earlier. How do I, use limit orders to take profit? How do I get out of a trade that's going against me? Maybe it's about a specific indicator. Maybe it's about a strategy. shoot your feedback to townhall@nadex.com. And I see that inbox. There's a couple of us here that take a look at that. We certainly do our best. Sometimes, depending on the nature of the content, it may take a little while to develop. Maybe we need to bring in an expert on a third party. Right? We recently had a couple of live events with John Bollinger. Clearly, if you've ever looked at Bollinger Bands, then you'd know who he is. We recently did a live event with him. We do work with a lot of people that are experts, right? Because I don't think anybody in the world, there's a lot of people out there that can teach you how to use John Bollinger Bands or Bollinger Bands, but there's probably nobody that knows them as intimately as John himself. And so we look to work with really quality third-party educators as well. And so you know what? If you're part of a trading group, right, that you think they're just great, shoot me that group at townhall@nadex.com. I'd be happy to talk to them. One of my biggest roles here is actually, though, making sure we have quality education, right? And we work with quality people. I'm never going to work with somebody who's going to say, hey, you've got $1,000, give it to me and I'll turn it into $1 million. That's not that's not ever going to happen. And so there, unfortunately, like in most industries, there are some people out there that are on the unsavory side. They're not straight up people. I'm not going to work with them. But if you're part of a trading group that you think is great, shoot me an email at townhall@nadex.com. Let's see here. It looks like we got a couple. Okay. Yeah, certainly there's live trading. Now, as an employee of Nadex, I'm not allowed to trade live, right? I work for an exchange, and one of the key rules of an exchange is to be fair, level, and unbiased, right? Those three things, right? And so it wouldn't be very good if I was trading Nadex and I had a vested interest in any positions, right? So, but there is live trading. Yep. If you don't have a live account, hold on, I'll pop back there and show you where you can get that. Whoops. All right, so, oops, close this up here. So, right, well, one, from your demo account. If you have a demo account, simply click on the Open an Account button, right? That'll take you to the account opening form. Takes about 5 minutes, very quick. So you can do that. Oftentimes open immediately, ready to fund in just a matter of minutes. If you go to nadex.com, right, open an account. Right from the home screen, you can either open an account or open a demo account. Once you do, right, and you go to the login screen, right, whether if you're trading in a demo, right, if I click on Join the Beta, this will take you to the new platform login screen, right? New way to master volatility. So just a few of the ways, but yes, definitely live trading. And Bill, I'm going to ask you to clarify that one as far as comment on risk reward. And I think as far as the risk reward, obviously, like any trade, that depends on where you're entering. Now, one of the cool things with Nadex, I think is one of the best things actually, is that you have strictly defined risk. I have spent a lot of time in other markets where that wasn't the case, and it was typically never like a series of trades that went bad. In many cases, where people blew out their accounts, but it was because of one, and we used to call them black swans, but now they're almost so frequent that term doesn't even really fit anymore, right? Just market events where all of a sudden you're going along right, and all of a sudden, wow, that was a huge loss. I've seen it happen, and don't worry, I've seen it happen not just to individuals, I've seen it happen to extremely large traders. I've seen it happen to institutions even, right? One event. This is the key thing. We always have to understand what our risk is in any trade. With Nadex, that's very easy. It's purely defined. It doesn't matter what happens in the world, right? It doesn't matter if there's a trade agreement, if there's an act of war. It doesn't matter if there's floods, hurricanes, snakes. It doesn't matter if the whole world is like an REM song, right? Once you're into a trade, you have that open position, you know what your maximum risk is, and it can never change. No Nadex contract can go beyond those bounds. Doesn't matter if you're trading a binary option, a call spread, or a touch bracket. It's always 100% defined. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Again, if you do have further questions or feedback on different types of educational efforts you'd like, townhall@nadex.com. Check out the beta platform. Check your emails for the Refer a Friend program if you're a Nadex member. If you didn't get one, refer a friend at nadex.com. This will be recorded, and I will hopefully have it up a little bit later today. Thank you all, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. Cheers.